All right, everyone. Welcome to Not Another Moto Pod. My name is Sam Fury. I'm going to be your host. This is the first. This could be the last. Who knows? We'll see how this goes. I just had some thoughts to share on the upcoming SMX season 2025, starting in about 8 days. I'm going to recap 2024 for you. Supercross, motocross, super motocross, donations talk. Just really want to talk a lot of 450s. We don't have too much information on the 250 class yet. Maybe we'll recap that prior to A1 when we have some more information. But I really wanted to just get started, introduce myself. I'm from Louisiana, born and raised down here, moto my whole life, just a huge fan. Not a media guy, no inside information, but I do consume moto media pretty regularly. I consider myself well informed on the sport, and I'd really like to kind of just put my thoughts out there. So let's get started. All right, guys. So in putting this together, obviously there's 1,000 podcasts out there, probably more informative than this one. I really wanted to keep the casual fan in mind with this, someone who may not know about the Vital MXs or the Pulp MXs of the sport, or possibly didn't have time to digest a 5-hour podcast. So I just want to keep that in mind, keep this casual, keep this informative. And with that in mind, I do want to start with the 2024 recap. Anybody who may be new to the sport or maybe stumbles upon this, maybe local to myself, has some background on what we think's going on and, where these opinions are coming from for this upcoming season. And so with that, the 2024 season, of course, we saw Jet Lawrence win the 450 Supercross class in his rookie season, the first since Ryan Dungey to do that. He was also the first ever rider to win A1 as his very first race. And so we had a lot of expectations for Jet. He lived up to all of them. He didn't run away with the series at all, really. Really not what we expected. He had 9 wins on the season. I think a lot of us maybe expected that point gap to be bigger at the end of the year, especially with Eli coming back from an injury and Chase Sexton coming to a new bike. Cooper Webb, of course, coming to a new bike that he did race in SMX the season prior, but it was a whole new platform for him coming into the Supercross season. We also saw Hunter Lawrence come in his rookie season, had a rough year in Supercross, and kind of bounced back in motocross. Speaking of motocross, Jet Lawrence did leave it with an injury mid-season. Chase Sexton kind of pounced on that and became the alpha in this class. Hunter Lawrence held him close and dragged him to the last round, but there was really no chance in stopping Chase once Jet Lawrence left the series. SMX was more of the same. Unfortunately, Chase suffered an injury at the third round that kind of knocked him out of championship contention. We went in with a winner-take-all between Jet, Hunter, and Chase Sexton. And like I said, unfortunately, Chase broke his hand on the first lap, second turn, I believe, when Justin Barcia landed on him in Moto 2. And from there, we had Jet Lawrence just kind of speed away from Hunter Lawrence's older brother. They did tie on points, but Jet winning the final race did put him over the top as the SMX champion, with Hunter Lawrence coming in second. Tomac actually finishing in third after Chase had to exit with the injury. From there, we went forward to MXDN. I think a lot of people know this, but USA had some injuries that could not lead to us having our best team on the track. And from there, we really saw Australia kind of methodically put together 3 races between Kyle Webster, Jet Lawrence, and Hunter Lawrence. It was really an unbelievable showing between the 3 riders. And they met a lot of expectations and exceeded a lot of expectations, as well did the makeshift USA team coming in second. And lastly, to kind of round out the 2024 season, we of course had the off-season races with the WSX, Tomac, Roxon, putting together some good battles. Savachi and Dean Wilson over in Aussex Open. We did have the Australian Supercross with Hunter and Jet, Hunter taking the win there. And then, of course, Paris. Jet was the best rider. Coop stayed consistent, and Cooper Webb actually left with that after Jet finished last place after tangling with a lapper there. So we do have some storylines coming into the season. Outside of just the 2024 season as a whole, we do put a little bit of stock in these off-season races. Maybe not too much. Fitness may not be there, Of course, Jet and Hunter switching to a new bike this year. They've expressed that they were not quite comfortable yet on Supercross, so we don't want to put too much stock into that. But we do want to look into, guys like Tomac, Roxon, Malcolm Stewart, maybe Savachi, guys who looked good in these off-season races, who may be, a bit of a dark horse coming into the season. Maybe not for wins, maybe not for championships, but of course, to get out there and kind of mix it up with the guys. With that, we're going to go into 2025, and I mean, what else can you say about Jet Lawrence? He is the favorite. He's the reigning champion. He's coming in his sophomore season. To put it this way, he is the LeBron James prodigy. He is the guy who was supposed to come out and beat Chase on pure speed, and he did it. He beat Tomac straight up. Of course, Tomac was not 100%, but he was out there battling with the guys. He went out there and proved everything he could. He passed Roxon several times, pretty spectacularly a few times, just the speed that he is able to put together. And of course, Cooper Webb, the guy who attacks everyone, comes after everyone, and makes those last second moves. Jet was almost unfazed. We had a few moments, few rookie mistakes, of course, but going into his sophomore season, we look to see those kind of get cleaned up. Jet is not the rider who makes the same mistake twice, and I think that's what the field should really be afraid of. This guy's going to learn. He won 9 races in his rookie season. He's only going to get better. I mean, truthfully, I could see this guy winning 13, 14 races this year. He is the guy who can challenge the record books. He is that level of talent, and I think we all recognize that. Now to his closest competitor, Chase Sexton. Chase was the guy who was supposed to come put it to Eli before Jet. He did that. He showed up every weekend with pure speed. He had some spectacular crashes. I'm not sure how he got up from a few of these, truthfully. Chase is a warrior. Chase is a monster. He absolutely deserves so much recognition. We kind of poo-poo on him a bit, calling him a head case, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's the case. Chase is truly out there. Chase is one of the strongest guys, one of the fastest guys that we have seen pure speed. He has all the intangibles to put it together. We just haven't seen that against Jet quite yet. I think if anyone challenges Jet this year, it's going to have to be Chase, truly. Next, we have Eli Tomac. Tomac is the veteran. Tomac looks really good in these off-season races. He looked really good in SMX and at the end of the motocross season, coming back from his thumb injury. Obviously, last year, coming back from his Achilles injury, he was a little off in Supercross, still managed to win a race. He kind of put it to Jet on these Triple Crowns. It was a 1-2 battle all night, and he really showed up. I really think Tomac has something for the guys this year. I don't know if he'll be there all season. We definitely saw some, weirdo Tomac results last year in Supercross. And with a guy like Jet and a guy like Chase, a couple of those could really take Tomac out of this championship, but he's definitely going to be a force. He's going to win multiple races this year, and if not, he's going to live on the box. He is a podium guy. He is that veteran. There's a reason he has 52 wins in Supercross. Lastly, for guys that I feel like are going to maybe fight for the title, or maybe just be around it, first 4 guys here. Obviously, we got to say with Cooper Webb. Cooper is the guy who gets in everyone's head. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the most stylish guy, but he's going to be there every weekend. He's going to force you into mistakes, and he's going to capitalize on those mistakes. If I had to relate him to someone in a casual sport, he's like the Draymond Green. He's not doing anything super spectacular, but he is going to be on top of things, and he is going to succeed. And it may not be in a conventional way. And a lot of people may not like it. He's going to talk a lot of trash. And hey, it's the way he goes about things. It's proved successful. He's a 2-time champion in this sport. And I'm looking forward to him, looking more comfortable in that Star Racing Yamaha this year. All right, next up, kind of want to show love to some guys, here in the 5 to 10, 5 to 12 range. These guys we do not anticipate are going to be fighting for the championship, but they will be in there each week. We may see a lot of podiums from some of these guys. And like I said, we just don't, maybe not get those big points hauls of the win off of pure speed, certainly. These guys, might not be running with that top four, but they're going to be in there every week and pretty solid. Let's start with Ken Roxon, guy who should have been a champion of this sport several times. Some really unfortunate injuries in his career, of course, we all know about. Um, he has all the skills to put this together. He's won 2 races in the last 2 years aboard that Suzuki. No one saw that coming, especially not last year. I don't think I really don't think anyone, you know, gives Roxon the respects he still needs. He is still the guy. He's still fast. He had an incredible crash last year that really took him out of things when his shock exploded. Really, not even his fault. Um, late in the SX season, he came back late in the MX season and wasn't himself. He rode in the 250 class, just really wasn't there. Raced the last race aboard the 450, and again, kind of wasn't really in contention for what we expect out of Ken Roxon. But I do expect Ken Roxon to bounce back, be in the mix with these guys. His first lap speed is undeniable. I think everyone who has watched a Supercross in the last 10 years knows this, knows how fast Roxon can be aboard that Suzuki that he's comfortable with now. Next, I want to show some love to Hunter Lawrence. Hunter had a rough season last year, but showed some flashes. He had a Triple Crown podium. He also had a kind of normal race podium later in the year. He looked fantastic in outdoors, truthfully, especially switching to the 25 Honda. He looked really good at the Nations. He won Australian Supercross in the offseason. I like to see him get more comfortable. I think he will get there. He has shown over his career that he is not a guy who adapts super quickly, but when he does adapt, he is going to be there every weekend. He's a rock. He's solid. He's got the speed. He knows how to battle for wins with these guys. He beat Jet and Tomac straight up at the second SMX round. Hunter Lawrence is going to be in the mix. Next, a guy who could be maybe a surprise main event winner here. He got a win last year finally. Should have had the win in Detroit the year before after an unfortunate mistake. He lost it there on the last lap, but Aaron Plessinger, he looks really happy. He looks pretty fast. He may not be Chase. He may not be Jet, but he's going to be in the mix. His starts were on point later in the season. He really showed some fight in MX. He had the the red plate last year, early in the Supercross season for several rounds. He couldn't hold on to it. Had a couple rough rounds in a row that really took him out of things, but that's okay. We look for AP to maybe bounce back, maybe try to put those together. Of course, we have Malcolm Stewart. Can't talk about fast guys without Malcolm Stewart. Mookie had some rough luck over the last couple of years. He finished in the third in the championship not too long ago. Was really his best year yet. We all know this. He doesn't look super comfortable aboard that Husky, but he's doing what he can. He's always going to be in the fight and maybe making some enemies. That goes to my next guy, Jason Anderson, El Hombre. Anderson had 7 wins in the Supercross series not too long ago. Last year was rough on him. He didn't really look like the guy he needed to be, but he's got pure speed. He's got fight. He's willing to put it to guys like Jet and Cooper Webb and Mookie. He's not afraid of anybody out there, and I think that really lends a good hand to him. Kind of showing up. Like I said, it's unfortunately probably not going to be every week to keep him in the championship, but Anderson is definitely a guy that you look forward to for some fireworks. Next, we can't do this without showing some love to Justin Cooper. Justin Cooper looked really good last year, later in the year. Once he kind of got comfortable aboard that new Star Racing 450 of his. He had some podiums in outdoors, kind of fell off near the end, but that's all right. Justin Cooper is kind of the silent guy. He kind of works in silence. He works in the background, but he's going to be around. He's a very good starter. We do look forward to some podiums from Justin Cooper this season. And next, I want to show some love to a guy who, he kind of underperformed last season, only had 1 podium. He's kind of changed up his program a bit. I'm really looking for some pretty big things from this guy this year. Justin Barcia, he switched over to Baker's Factory. He's really taking his training serious. Later in his career, he doesn't look like a guy who is intending to stop anytime soon. Talk about fireworks with Anderson, but Barcia is the fireworks guy. Barcia is the guy that He'll show up, he'll put it on the podium, and he's not afraid to fight. He'll start a fight and he'll end it. I really look for big things from Barcia this year, possibly several podiums. He hasn't had a win in a few years, but he's always in the fight every single year. He's one of those guys who never gives up. Um, he's really one of the fittest guys in the field, and he really likes to put these races together early in the season. So I'd really look for some big things from Barcia, maybe A1 early in the season, the Phoenix races, things like that. Um, Next, I want to show love to, a guy who has had some rough luck these last couple of years. Wasn't able to race in the 450 Supercross class last year. He was aboard the Triumph. He is aboard a Honda this year in the 450 class. We look forward to some good things from him. He showed some speed in the 250 outdoor class last year aboard the Triumph, and of course ended that contract early to jump back into the 450 class when Triumph couldn't get their 450 ready uh, for racing this year. So I really look for some really good results from Savatgy, possibly a top five. He may not be a podium guy in the 450 Supercross class, but we maybe look forward to motocross class for him. He's a lot faster to me outdoors, and he really puts things together out there. But I do look for some good results and really just want to give a shout out to Joey Savatgy here. Lastly, we have the wild card, as Racer X called him, the Conquistador. Jorge Prado is coming over from MXGP, two-time champion over there, two-time reigning champion over there, obviously switching to Kawasaki. Came over here and raced some supercrosses last year early in the season. We really look for him to be more comfortable next year, in this upcoming year. And maybe, he could be a podium guy in the right circumstances. I think like Savatgy, he could get, a top five guy here and there. Looking forward, Prado is going to be a guy in the motocross class. And maybe moving forward a few years ahead in the Supercross class, he can become a race winner and become a guy to challenge, Jet and Chase and some of these guys. I just don't see it this year, but we do look forward to seeing how he fares on track. It's going to be really fun to watch him jump into the 450 class full time. And with all this said, I really want to kind of just jump forward maybe some season predictions. This is going to be for 2025 Supercross. Again, more so in the 450 class. We can address the 250s later, like I said, when we kind of see which coast everyone is riding. I may have discuss that in another pod. Um, Honestly, I mean, what can I say? I look forward to seeing Jet Lawrence win this championship. I look forward to a really good fight with Chase Sexton. I look forward to Tomac being there week in, week out, and I look forward to Webb shaking things up. But barring injury, I believe Jet is the guy. And again, if anyone has anything for him, it's going to be Chase. But I mean, what can you say? Jet is that good. Jet has the talent. Jet has the speed, and he's put it together. That's what Chase hasn't done yet so far against Jet. Obviously, Chase has his own rights. He has his own rewards. He has won the championship in both the SX and MX classes. He's a two-time 250 champion. He knows how to win. We just haven't seen him string it together yet against Jet. And whether that's a mental thing or a speed thing or being uncomfortable with the bike, it is what it is. Unfortunately, Jet has come in and Jet's taken over. And I really think that is going to continue. Next thing I want to talk about. So this year we have sports betting entering the sport. Last year, obviously, those of you who listen to Pulp MX are aware that there were, some betting with Bet Online guys overseas, kind of an offshore book. We have domestic betting this year with the DraftKings guys. This got announced today, Friday, January 3rd. A lot of big news with NXT Bets. They're a partner with DraftKings. I've checked for myself here in Louisiana. We've got some odds up for the 450 champion as well as the A1 winner in 450. I look forward to checking these more often and seeing if we get maybe some props, some more bets. That kind of seems what they are going to promise in the press releases that came out from SMX today. So just some really interesting developments there. And with that all being said, I'm really looking forward to an interesting 2025 Supercross season. I think we had a really good year last year. There's a lot of talk of a Drive to Survive type series. coming out for Supercross, and I really wish we would have had it last year. Jet coming in as the rookie, winning the champion Chase, switching over to a new bike, the former champion Tomac coming off of an injury, Webb switching over to a new bike. We really had a lot of storylines last year, and I hope we get some more of those this year. When pushing into the future, obviously when we see guys like Deegan step up or guys like Tomac, Anderson, Mookie retire, it's going to bring a lot of new blood into the 450 class. But for now, I'm just really looking forward to some good racing. We have a pretty unique schedule this year compared to the past, so really looking forward to that. Looking forward to of course, looking forward into the MX season and the Super Motocross. Once we see where those get, announced, it looks like we would have the finale in Vegas again. It looked really fun last year. I was really jealous to not be there. I may have to make that trip this year. If we do get SMX back in Vegas. So lastly, I don't want to completely skip over to the 250s. But of course, we have our favorites. We have our guys, Hampshire, Kitchen, Vial, Deegan. Really looking forward to see what happens, who gets on what coast. And like I said, I may touch on that later in another pod. If we are able to, get our list of the coasts, any Supercross fan knows that it's like pulling teeth, to get these 250 teams to release their coast prior to A1. So hopefully they'll come out early enough to give me some time to kind of assess and see where I'm at. But I mean, it's hard to root against Deegan, as the champion, of course. I think he's the guy that's going to go put his first championship together. I think Vial's going to back up his East Coast championship. We don't know this for sure, so he won't be facing against Deegan this year. But we look forward to some good things from Vial. I look forward to guys like Cameron McAdoo, Levi Kitchen shaking it up in there, and then, of course, RJ Hampshire. I think he may be going east as well due to his new recent wrist injury. So that'll be a fun challenge. We'll have maybe champion versus champion and Vial versus RJ Hampshire to see who gets this year's championship in RJ Hampshire's last full season in the 250s. So with that, thank you guys for listening. Subscribe if I put this anywhere. I don't know. I try to get this on Spotify, maybe on Apple Podcasts, but really appreciate everyone for tuning in this week and looking forward to talking to you guys again. So thank you.